Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Marvel film, which is Spider-Man Far From Home. This is supposedly the final Phase 3 Marvel film before we go into a Phase 4 lineup, which is supposedly going to start up in summer of 2020, I believe. Whether that's the Eternals, or a Black Widow movie, or a Thor 4, or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I really don't know quite yet, and I don't even know if Marvel knows quite yet, but I do know next summer they're going to try to launch that, but this is kind of our final Phase 3 Marvel film before they start up a new lineup and introduce us to new heroes, see if there's going to be like a new Avengers that form and things like that. But this is after Avengers Endgame, so for those who are wondering if you have to see Avengers Endgame before this movie, please do so. Major spoilers in this movie if you have not seen Avengers Endgame. So make sure you see that film before this film, and even I would say even see that film before watching this review if possible at this point. As in all my reviews, though, you guys, I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as I can. But like I said, in the context of this movie, it is very important that you've seen Avengers Endgame before seeing this film. So please go see Endgame before this if you have not yet. But let me go over Spider-Man Far From Home and give you kind of a synopsis and kind of what I thought of the film and things like that. And like I said, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers any way that I can. I'll try to just give you like generalized opinions on certain things where I can. So in this movie, you guys, in Spider-Man Far From Home, it basically follows the events of Avengers Endgame. So we get both the events of Homecoming and Endgame before this movie, and obviously Infinity War before Endgame and all that stuff. So this isn't like a prequel of any kind. It definitely is the final Phase 3 film of Marvel. And so basically, Peter and his friends, they go on a vacation in Europe, and this is kind of their welcoming home gift, I guess, because all of them have been gone for the past 5 years, and obviously some people who weren't taken from the snap got to age and finish up high school and things like that, while others did not finish up high school yet. They're kind of exactly the same. They still have some years of high school to finish up and things like that. So they go on this trip in Europe, and Peter Parker really can't take a break from Spider-Man because already when he's there, there's these creatures called the Elementals that are attacking everywhere. There's a fire one, a water one. There was a ground one that attacked Mexico at some point earlier in the film. And so basically, Peter Parker has to help out the best he can. He doesn't have a Spider-Man outfit. But through some series of events through S.H.I.E.L.D. and some other people who kind of get in touch with him, they give him like a voluntary Spider-Man outfit to help out with. But even that doesn't seem necessary because there's a man called Mysterio who helps out. He takes out the elementals himself. Spider-Man's able to help out a little bit. He thanks Spider-Man for his time. He thanks him for what he was able to help him with. Basically, for the most part, basically Peter views Mysterio as the future of Earth's protector. He wants to be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's really not quite sure if he wants to be um, Earth's protector. Yeah, he does. He's not sure if he wants to be the protector of Europe, of the United States, of other countries and things like that quite yet. He wants to be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So he kind of passes the torch on to Mysterio, but that creates problems. And as you learn throughout the film, like I said, spoiler free as best I can for this, basically, a whole series of events unwind. There's things that Spider Man is learning that isn't quite what it is at first. And so basically, Peter Parker has to take on new troubles in Europe, not just the elementals that come across his way. So basically, our friendly neighborhood Spider Man has to also save the day while in Europe on his vacation. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed this film a lot. Obviously, this is a very hard film to talk about without spoiling anything. But I really enjoyed this film. If you really like Spider-Man Homecoming, I think you're really going to enjoy this film a lot too. It has a lot of those similar elements, a similar comedic vibe. The action is done in a similar way. There's a lot of high school moments, a lot of scenes with Peter and the new MJ, played by Zendaya. They get a lot of moments in this movie. They actually get even more moments in this film, I would say, than they did in Spider-Man Homecoming. Obviously, the friendship between Peter and Ned is a lot of fun here as well again. We got to see Ned a little bit in Infinity War and Endgame, but we really get to see a lot of him again like we did in Homecoming, and so that was a lot of fun. Flash Thompson's back, so pretty much any of those high school friends and enemies that Peter had in Homecoming appear in this one again, pretty much. And it's a lot of fun to be had here. So, for my positives and negatives of Spider Man Far From Home, it really was pretty fun to see Spider Man in Europe. It was fun to see him outside of New York doing things in a different country, kind of seeing how Spider Man would save the day and protect people in another country. So, I thought that aspect was a lot of fun. It was kind of fun to see how he reacted to things that weren't in the US and um, how he was trying to win the heart of MJ and things like that in Europe and things like that. So that was a lot of fun. So seeing Spider-Man in Europe was a lot of fun in this movie. The film also has a great sense of humor. There's a lot of really funny jokes here. Zendaya as MJ was a lot of fun. Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan was a lot of fun. They poke fun again that Marisa Tomei is a very attractive actress, and she's playing the new Aunt May, who is normally known for being an older character, but definitely not so much in this universe. So I really like the sense of humor that this film had. It was just a lot of fun. It was a very fun film to watch, I felt. The fun elements that you enjoyed from Spider-Man Homecoming do return here. So whether that is Zendaya playing MJ again, or the character of Ned coming back, or the character of Flash Thompson coming back, almost anything you can think of with Homecoming, you know, having a hard time talking to that girl that you really like and things like that. There's a lot of moments like that in this movie. So a lot of fun Spider-Man Homecoming elements make their return in this new Spider-Man adventure. I also do like the use of Mysterio in this film, and he does get to do a lot of the things that, for those who know a lot about him in the Spider-Man comics and Spider-Man animated series that I personally watched back in the 90s, Mysterio gets to do a lot of those things that you'd love to see him do, whether that is hallucinations, whether that is magic tricks or performing magic or fighting foes or using the little eyes on his cape that he has. Tons of fun here with Mysterio. I liked the use of this character. Casting Jake Gyllenhaal as this character I thought was a great choice as well. So cool to see Mysterio finally make it into a Spider-Man film. And we even got Jake Gyllenhaal himself, a great actor, to play the Mysterio character. And it was just so fun to see a great Spider-Man character appear in a film after all these years of not being in a Spider-Man movie. I do like the post Endgame world that we're exposed to. It was cool to see where Spider-Man and Happy Hogan and Nick Fury and all of them, kind of where they're all at after Avengers Endgame and kind of how they're fitting in and adapting to this new Marvel world. So that aspect of this film was a lot of fun. There's also a lot of fun action scenes in this movie, just tons of scenes where Peter gets to fight criminals in Europe and help out Mysterio, or help out Nick Fury and Agent Maria Hill take on like a conspiracy case or a little spy case of some kind. So all those little fun little action scenes do add up. They do make for a fun movie, and it's just a great overall action movie overall. There's also tie-ins to earlier Marvel films. Can't not go into spoilers on this one, obviously, but it was cool to see tons of tie-ins, and they do a good job making sure if you don't know what a certain character or certain reference to a certain movie is, I feel like they do the best context they can to make sure that you know about that character and why they're in this movie and things like that. So cool tie-ins to earlier Marvel films. I really like how they incorporated that into this movie. For my negatives of this movie, though, I thought Samuel L. Jackson's performance as Nick Fury felt a little too aggressive this time around. It felt a little more, yeah, it just felt a little more aggressive for Nick Fury than it normally was. Yes, I get that he's adapting to the world again after 5 years of being gone, but I just thought the Nick Fury we got this time around just felt a little too aggressive. Didn't feel like the same Nick Fury we've gotten in earlier Marvel films. So whether that was Samuel L. Jackson's choice or the way the script was written for this movie, it just felt a little too aggressive this time around. I really wish they could have laid back the character just a little bit more and had more fun with the Nick Fury character. It just felt a little too aggressive this time around. And obviously, I really can't get into detail on this next one, but there is a real big reveal of sorts later on in the movie that just felt a little too calculated to me. It makes all those earlier events in the movie after you find out what's going on just feel a little too calculated. It feels a little too perfect, I guess, a little too a schedule to somebody. So there's just something that feels really calculated in this movie, and like I said, can't say what it is. It's a big reveal later on in the movie, and it just felt a little too calculated to me. I also thought there could have been more high school moments. They're there, if you really like that aspect of Spider-Man: Homecoming of having a hard time talking to the really pretty girl or anything related to that, really. I thought there could have been more moments like that in this movie. It was just so fun to watch that in Spider-Man: Homecoming and kind of see where Peter fit into everything. I would have liked to see more high school moments leading up to maybe the Europe events or incorporated them into the Europe scenes a little bit more. There's also a lot of deleted scenes and just scenes that aren't even used in this movie that show up in the trailers. I think really would have been really cool if they incorporated them into the movie somehow. And just a lot of characters that were rumored to be in this movie that just don't appear in it. One character I can tell you right off the bat that does not appear in this movie, and was rumored for the longest time and was even on his filmography of appearing in this movie, was Michael Keaton's Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming. He is not in this movie. I don't know if his scenes just got cut or if they just ended up not using it, or if they went with a completely different script over the months or something. But there's just a lot of things that I know that they filmed for this, and characters that were signed on to this movie for a long time, and they are not used in this movie. So I really don't know what happened here. I don't know if they just really wanted to trim those out or focus on the post Endgame stuff or something. But there's a lot of things that are not shown in this movie that are clearly shown in trailers and photos and things like that. Just watch the trailer for yourself before seeing this movie. There's a lot of footage that they did not use in this movie, so I don't know what happened with that. But it really would have been cool to see that show up in the movie someplace, because from what I've seen of like the deleted scenes and characters that could have been used, that really would have made the film even cooler if they incorporated that somehow. I also thought the end credit hype was a little too much this time. Yeah, there is two end credit scenes. They really don't answer anything. Yeah, they're both related to things that are going on in the Marvel universe and things like that. I personally thought for being the most important end credit scenes in the Marvel universe, it really does not live up to that at all. I have no clue after seeing both of these what exactly the next Marvel film is going to be at this point. If anything, it just creates more questions than answers, and I don't know if that's what Marvel wants after wrapping up Phase 3 or not. So, wasn't huge on the end credit stuff. It just felt a little unnecessary. Would have preferred something a little bit more details provided for those end credit moments. So overall, I'm going to give Spider-Man: Far From Home a 9 out of 10. There's a lot of wonderful things about this movie. It was cool to see Spider-Man in Europe. All those Spider-Man Homecoming elements you loved are back in this movie. It was cool to see a post-Avengers Endgame world and where we are in the Marvel universe. But like I said, I just thought Nick Fury was a little too aggressive this time around. Didn't really understand why. Certain scenes feel really calculated, especially after the reveal happens. More high school moments could have been used. I really don't get why so many deleted scenes were not used in this movie, and why certain characters like the Vulture were not used in this movie. And then obviously that end credit hype I thought was a little too much. It just didn't feel as warranted as it should have been. So 9 out of 10 for me. Highly recommend Spider-Man: Far From Home. Be sure to see this one.